The Water Cycle of Africa by Kathleen Cox. Earth's water supply. It's easy to take the Earth's supply of water for granted. Huge oceans send wave after wave of pounding water against thousands of miles of shoreline. Shimmering rivers wind through cities and villages around the world. Rain and snow fall all over the planet year after year. Most of all, whenever we turn on a faucet inside our home to cook or wash our hands, we always seem to have more than enough water. When we see so much water around us, it is hard to believe the Earth's supply of fresh water is limited. The water cycle. Water evaporates. Water cools and condenses into clouds. It is stored as clouds. It falls as precipitation. It's stored as ice or snow. There is surface runoff, snowmelt runoff, and it is stored in freshwater storage. Water seeps into the ground and can be stored in groundwater storage. There can be stream flow and storage in the oceans. This is groundwater discharge also. Water collects in the Earth's lakes, rivers, and oceans. Then the moisture evaporates. It changes to vapor, a gas that goes into the air. The vapor travels higher in the atmosphere, where the air is cooler. The vapor gets cooler and condenses or turns into tiny droplets of water. Millions of these droplets come together and form a cloud. When a cloud becomes too heavy, the water falls back down to earth as rain, sleet, hail, or snow, which are all forms of precipitation. When it lands on the ground, the precipitation seeps into the soil, where it helps plants to grow. It also goes into oceans, lakes, and rivers. Then the water cycle begins again. The rivers of Africa. Africa has 3 of the world's longest rivers, the Nile, the Congo River, and the Niger River. It also has the Zambezi River. The rain that falls each year affects these rivers. If there is no rain for weeks or months, the water level goes down. More and more of the river bank is exposed, showing how the volume of water in the river is decreasing. About 70% of all Africans are farmers. The rain and the nearby rivers provide the water for their crops. When water is scarce, the farmers lose their crops, and many of them will go hungry. The Sahara Desert is in the north. Savanna, rainforest, savanna, desert. The climates of Africa. Africa is split almost exactly in half by the equator. Tropical rainforests cover much of the land at the equator. They average at least 70 inches of rainfall each year. The rainforest's many plants make it a perfect home for many animals. Rainforests have the densest vegetation on Earth. On either side of the tropical rainforest are grasslands, called savannas. The tall grasses and the climate provide the ideal environment for lions, leopards, elephants, and numerous species of birds. Africa also has deserts. The huge expanse known as the Sahara in the northern half of the continent is the world's largest desert. The Kalahari and the Namib are also smaller deserts in the southern half of Africa. These dry areas receive very little rainfall. Summer temperatures can reach as high as 120 degrees in the daytime. During the winter, nighttime temperatures can fall below freezing. This is the Aswan Dam. It was built to control river flooding on the Nile. Climate, geography, and African rivers. Africa's climate plays an important role in the life of each African river. During the dry season, when there is little or no rain, the flow of the river slows down. Less water flows into inland lakes and the ocean. During the rainy season, the rivers become swollen with rain, and all new water heads downstream to lakes and the ocean. In some parts of Africa, Where the rainy season lasts for weeks and months, the rivers often flood and spill over the banks. Dams and reservoirs tame the rivers by controlling the flow of water, thus helping prevent flood damage and allowing crop irrigation. Africa's geography also shapes the course of its rivers. Africa's major rivers start in highlands or in the mountains. Hot vapor rises into the air from warm regions. Winds carry moisture to the hilly areas where air is cool. The cooler air condenses the vapor into moisture that creates clouds. As the river travels. As the river continues to follow its natural course, it sometimes explodes over cliffs to make beautiful waterfalls. It can also pick up speed as it flows over big boulders, creating rapids. The Congo River in the southwestern Africa has a long series of rapids combined with a series of waterfalls. The Nile River and the Zambezi River also have stretches of rushing rapids and cascading falls. After leaving the highlands, an African river enters the savannas. So it starts in the highland, travels through the savannas. Here, the land tends to level out, and the river slows down. It creates a snake-like course that bends in every direction. The river may also widen dramatically. When the Congo River flows through the savannas on its journey to the ocean, some stretches of the river are at least 7 miles wide. The wandering path of each river adds many miles to its length. The bends and turns, however, take the river through more land, serving the needs of many living things. After Africa's rivers pass through the grassy savannas, they enter plains where the water deposits sediment that the river has collected during its journey. Sediment improves the quality of the soil and the crops. These plains also contain wetlands that slow down the movement of the floodwaters in and out of the land in the river basin. For centuries, travelers have taken food, water, and shelter in the wetlands before and after they ventured across the desert. The final leg of the river's voyage usually ends at a lake or ocean. The mighty Nile. The Nile travels in a south to north direction on its long journey to the Mediterranean Sea. The Nile is divided into 2 sections. The Blue Nile begins in a small spring that comes up from the ground, upstream from a lake in the highlands of Ethiopia. The White Nile begins at Lake Victoria, which is the largest lake in Africa. Before the Aswan Dam was completed in 1971, the Nile would flood its banks during the rainy season. The farmers always planted their crops right after the floodwaters lowered. Some farmers also protected their homes from the heavy rains by building circular homes with cone-shaped roofs that had no eaves. These were designed so the water just flowed right off the roof. Other farmers living in the Nile River basin left their homes during the flood season. The Nile is the world's longest river. It flows about 4,180 miles through northeastern Africa. The Congo River. The Congo River journeys through western Central Africa. The Congo is the continent's most important river for navigation. Boats carry people and cargo to many areas that lack roads. The Congo River links many remote areas together. Many of the more than 1 million people who live in the Congo River basin fish from the riverbanks. People hunt the wildlife that roam near the riverbanks or farm the rich land that is fertilized by the floodwaters. As the upper Congo tumbles into lower land, its tributaries increase its size and speed, making it impossible for boats to travel this part of the Congo. At Kisangani, the river widens and slows down. Boats can move along this section until they finally enter the lower Congo. Here, all boat trips end. They cannot navigate the river's long series of waterfall and rapids as the Congo nears its final destination, the Atlantic Ocean. Much of the Congo River travels through tropical steamy rainforests that receive more than 90 inches of rain each year. Moisture seems to hang in the air. The Congo is a welcoming home for hundreds of species of freshwater fish and lots of birds, such as pelicans and storks. The Niger River. The Niger River flows for more than 2,600 miles. This river begins its journey in the mountains of Guinea. It winds and twists through the Republic of Mali. The Sahara Desert covers much of northern Mali, so the Niger River is extremely important in helping herders keep their animals alive. The Niger has created one of the largest deltas in Africa. This region contains swamplands filled with rare pygmy goat hippopotamuses, African manatees, and swamp otters that play on sandbars. Fish and water birds inhabit the Niger. Summary. African rivers benefit from the water cycle, which brings the rain that nourishes each waterway. In turn, the rivers bring water to the nearby land, where it benefits the people and the animals that live near the river. The river water also benefits all the crops that are so important for African survival. The water from the river also provides important moisture. Over time, this moisture slowly evaporates and becomes the vapor that plays a necessary role in the water cycle, forming the clouds overhead. These clouds furnish the precipitation that begins the water cycle all over again. The water cycle is a perfect recycling system. Each river in Africa is a lifeline, and so the water cycle, human beings need to respect its natural recycling resource. Glossary. Densest, thickest, or most crowded. Eaves, overhang of the edge of a roof that extends out from a house. Expanse, wide open area of land or sky. Moisture, water in liquid or vapor form. Ventured, brave the dangers of something.